Is everything okay? Starship is undergoing final testing, but something isn't right. SpaceX wants to build a brand new Starship Launch Complex, and it won't be at Starbase. SpaceX hits another record. Nova C sends pictures of our planet, and Japan's incredible HR-3 rocket finally reaches orbit. My name is Felix, welcome to What About It. Let's dive right in. Starship updates. Wow, it's been quite a week. For a few hours, all 4 of SpaceX's launch pads were occupied by rockets. 3 of them launched, but 1 is stuck here on the ground. Is SpaceX having trouble with the final test of the 3rd orbital Starship? Come with me to find out. This is going to be good. Since the initial stacking of the 3rd orbital Starship in early February, the company has repeatedly tried to perform a wet dress rehearsal. However, it isn't going as smoothly as you might expect. A WDR is essentially a simulation of the launch, during which the rocket is fully loaded with its propellants, liquid oxygen and methane for Starship, without actually igniting the engines. Sounds reasonably easy, right? This procedure is done not just for SpaceX's peace of mind, but it's also required to obtain an experimental launch license. Given its importance, the wet dress rehearsal is a pretty big deal in the launch campaign. Over the last few days, multiple road closures signaled attempts at conducting this test starting on February 14th. It began as usual. The launch site was evacuated of all personnel to ensure safety. Stage 0 was chilled and the propellant began flowing into Ship 28's tank. However, during this attempt, the frost line, a visual cue indicating the level of liquid in the tanks, was absent on booster 10. This could suggest some issues with this super heavy booster, or perhaps there wasn't enough propellant inside to create a visible frost line. The test wrapped up shortly thereafter, leaving some uncertainty about its outcome. This may have been a test aimed at verifying the functionality of valves and other cryo systems, as a lot changed during the 2nd launch. Alternatively, there might have been some issues with Stage 0, particularly the ship quick disconnect arm, which received much attention recently. On a positive note, this road closure allowed SpaceX to test the water deflector system, which was captured by one of our remote cameras. Following the test, the road was reopened and the team resumed work on the prototypes. Merely 2 days later, the road at Starbase was closed once again, and this time things were looking a bit more optimistic. The wet dress rehearsal progressed further, as evidenced by the visible frost lines on both Ship 28 and Booster 10. However, just as our anticipation was building, the test ended and the vehicle was quickly detanked, wrapping up the day's activity. This sudden stop could indicate either an aborted wet dress attempt or a small-scale test aimed at addressing issues identified during the previous test. The truth is that significant modifications have been made to the tank farm since the 2nd launch. This includes the addition of new valves and subcoolers on the liquid oxygen side, not to mention reducing the water storage capacity. Since water plays a vital role in the heat exchangers used during these tests, these changes could be simply related to SpaceX adjusting its testing protocols. Nonetheless, a full test is still needed before they can get the license. With another road closure scheduled for February 20th, the day this video goes live, there is hope that by the time you're watching this, the next orbital Starship is undergoing its final pre-flight fueling. Given these developments, when do you predict Starship will launch? Could early March still be on the table, or are you skeptical about the estimate given by Elon Musk himself? Place your bets in the comments. Turning our attention to the production side, this place is on the brink of a transformation that, in under 2 years, will render it almost unrecognizable. Big changes are coming. In January, SpaceX proposed a project for a 6-tier parking garage near Remedios Avenue. With a proposed area of 270,000 square feet, or about 25,000 square meters, the garage would fit into the space between the bays and the Sanchez site. Now, thanks to Red Line helicopter tours, we may be witnessing the beginning of the construction of this ambitious project. Comparing the latest images to those captured a few weeks prior reveals significant changes next to the rocket garden. The area has been completely cleared, with nearly all building materials removed and only 2 turntables for the second megabay remaining. This could very well be related to the parking garage's construction, as the area here definitely isn't efficiently used and SpaceX is all about efficiency. However, the parking garage isn't the only significant construction planned for the production site this year. In fact, new information shows that it might be the least important one. Another new project has been announced, a 5-level office mezzanine with a budget estimated at a staggering $100 million. A mezzanine is essentially an office structure that can be integrated within a warehouse, which fits here perfectly as it's described as an extension to a 1 million square foot factory. There's your clue. This factory of course refers to the Star Factory. This new office space will cover 329,000 square feet or about 30,000 square meters and is said to be located along San Martin Boulevard. There's only one place where such a building could possibly fit, and it's between the Star Factory and SpaceX's residential area. From the aerial images we can observe that this entire area has been cleared. Additionally, a U-shaped outline appeared on the ground, hinting at the potential layout of the upcoming building. Construction is slated to kick off on February 23rd, so just a few days from now, with a targeted completion date of January 1st, 2025. It's incredible how much you can discover just by looking at things from the air. How about you go see all of this for yourself? Book your own ride at Starbase and see these things in person, or just enjoy one of the most incredible views in the world. Go to redlineheli.com/Felix. You'll find the link in the description as well. I promise you won't ever forget this. Every so often, there is an episode with tons of big reveals. This is one of those. We're shifting our focus back to Florida, where something huge is unfolding. After noting a slowdown in progress at the Roberts Road facility in our last episode, a thrilling update has emerged. SpaceX is planning to build a brand new launch site at Cape Canaveral. On February 16th, a website was launched to announce the project aimed at expanding Starship operations within the Space Force Station. While SpaceX continues to develop a launch tower at LC-39A, the coexistence of Falcon 9 and Starship launches from the same site will present some logistical challenges. Issues with one rocket can affect the launch schedule of the other one, not to mention the possibility of a Starship crashing into the launch tower. At this point, I think there is a chance that we'll never see a Starship launch from LC-39A, but there is a solution. To ramp up Starship launch cadence, SpaceX plans to build Launch Complex 49, a massive area that could feature multiple launch towers dedicated exclusively to Starship. However, this project has hit a roadblock, primarily due to prolonged environmental assessments, leading to a temporary halt in progress regarding this launch site. Isn't that lovely? In response to these setbacks, SpaceX has proposed an alternative, taking over Space Launch Complex 37, which United Launch Alliance currently uses for Delta IV Heavy launches. With ULA scheduled to retire the Delta after its final launches this year, the site will return to the Space Force, and SpaceX intends to take control. Modifying the site would likely require demolishing the entire launch pad, as it likely can't be adapted to support Starship. The project site emphasizes on collaboration with the Department of Defense, suggesting that SpaceX is banking on the value of supporting government payloads as leverage to secure the lease for Slick 37. If acquiring this site isn't possible, SpaceX has an alternative plan to develop a new launch site named Slick 50, situated between Slick 40 and Slick 37. That would be insanely cool. Unfortunately, even in the best case scenario where they take over Slick 37, we won't see a launch tower there soon. Getting all the paperwork for rocket-related projects, especially the Environmental Impact Statement or EIS, is time-consuming. The process of drafting such a statement typically takes about a year. Public hearings to discuss the preparation of the EIS are scheduled to begin in March, with the draft expected to be made available for public review by December of this year. A definitive verdict on whether SpaceX will be authorized to repurpose the existing pad at Slick 37 or proceed with constructing the new Slick 50 is anticipated in October 2025. This timeline suggests that we won't see any construction until at least 2 or more years from now. But with the release of the draft Environmental Impact Statement, we will glimpse what the new launch infrastructure will look like. New towers? They have to start somewhere. If SpaceX really wants to colonize Mars, such projects will begin to pop up left and right. Do you believe SpaceX will succeed in acquiring Slick 37, or will they need to build an entirely new Slick 50? Share your insights in the comments, I love reading them. Now you've watched more than half the video and you're still watching. Thank you, this means you like it. We've looked into our channel metrics and there are over 2 million returning monthly viewers who have not subscribed yet. Help us improve the channel even further by double checking that you've hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss our updates. And while checking, hit the like button and consider becoming a wise supporter for exclusive SpaceX updates. With it, you get access to daily Starbase photo galleries, including satellite, aerial, and ground photos of SpaceX's progress, and countless other extras on top. And no matter how much you decide to give, everyone gets the same supporter content and access. You decide what you want to give. And check our new website as well. Launch previews, road closures, the latest weather reports, and our multi-stream viewer, whataboutit.space. The link to our Patreon page and the new website is in the description. Thanks to all the supporters who help fulfill dreams for our team. We cannot thank you enough. You rock. And before we continue, here's a quick word about investment. Houston, do you copy? Join us as we delve into the realm of interstellar investments with our sponsor, Link2. Link2 has unlocked the door to invest in interstellar communications and data services offered by Quantum Space. Quantum Space aims to propel humanity's journey to the stars by installing the Quantum Net, a high-speed network enabling fast, always-on connections in deep space via geostationary orbit and cislunar space. Link2 meticulously evaluates every business partner so you can embark on this journey with confidence. The future is clear. Take the guesswork out of private equity and secure your assets with Link2. Start your private equity portfolio today using the link below. Seize this limited stellar opportunity with code Y500 for a $500 discount on your first investment. Link2, private investing made simple. Now, I've just mentioned QuantumNet, but did you know that the company behind it, Quantum Space, was actually co-founded by a former NASA acting administrator, Steve Yurchik? He unfortunately passed away last year, yet his vision continues to thrive. The main focus of Quantum Space is cislunar and geostationary space, areas that may see exponential growth due to the recent interest in moon exploration, especially thanks to the Artemis program. QuantumNet aims to leverage this interest by establishing a network of spacecraft designed to offer a wide array of services to support these missions. The network's foundation is Scout satellites, compact CubeSats outfitted with camera sensors and high-speed connectivity capabilities. The plan envisions deploying dozens of Scout satellites in strategic positions from the moon's orbit to geostationary orbit. Their primary function would include monitoring and photographing satellites or space debris. Additionally, they would serve as communication relays back to Earth, enabling, for example, streaming high-definition video directly from the moon. And the first satellite of this series, dubbed Scout 1 or Quantum Sentry, is currently under construction and is slated for launch aboard the Transporter 10 mission scheduled for no earlier than March of this year. Yet Quantum Space's ambitions extend far beyond Scout satellites. The company is also developing a larger vehicle called Ranger, which could transport payloads of up to 1,500 kilograms or 3,300 pounds to GEO, or 2,500 kilograms or 5,500 pounds to any location within cislunar space. Ranger aims to offer a flexible platform for clients accommodating up to 4 small satellites or a single larger satellite for missions near the moon. And the vehicle could also be used for spacecraft servicing, including orbital boosting, extending a satellite's lifespan by years. I am glad we're living in an era where we finally see renewed focus not just on the moon, but on Mars as well. Leading this change is, of course, SpaceX, which recently launched 3 Falcon 9 rockets in less than 24 hours, breaking a few records along the way. The opening act of this launch trio was USS F-24. A mission under the banner of the United States Space Force. While the specifics of government missions tend to be shrouded in secrecy, this particular operation was not entirely classified. Although we didn't catch a glimpse of the payload or even Earth views from the second stage, we knew that the fairing of Falcon 9 concealed 6 satellites as it ascended from Slick 40. Two of the satellites form part of the Hypersonic and Ballistic Tracking Space Sensor constellation, a network designed to monitor missile launches worldwide. This capability is crucial for detecting and tracking hypersonic missiles, which pose significant challenges to traditional geostationary surveillance systems. By using a low Earth orbit constellation that can provide real-time location data, these satellites can help neutralize threats swiftly, even before ground-based radars detect them. It's actually a pretty impressive system. Additionally, the launch carried 4 satellites for the Space Development Agency. Can you guess their purpose? Yup, missile detection. However, these satellites contribute to the broader Tranche 0 project, with this launch actually being the last of this particular constellation, which now comprises 27 satellites. 19 satellites from the transport layer within this constellation, enabling high-speed data transmission through optical links. The other 8 belong to the tracking layer, which is dedicated to identifying missile launches and relaying this crucial information to the transport layer. As expected, the launch went perfectly. The second mission in this trio of launches was Nova-C, the plan of which we discussed in the last episode. Now we're eager to see if this plan will result in a smooth touchdown. Following the separation, the lander confirmed that it was in excellent condition. A minor hiccup occurred when the navigation system initially rejected data from the onboard star tracker. However, the issue was promptly resolved after some adjustments and a software update. The mission then moved into the engine commissioning phase. Quickly, it was discovered that chilling the engine in the vacuum of space required more time than Earth-based simulations had predicted. This would necessitate performing the engine burn during a communication blackout period, leading to the decision to delay the burn until February 16th. I am excited to report that since then, Nova successfully completed this step, marking the first ever ignition of a Methalox engine in space. Now the lander is preparing for 3 trajectory correction maneuvers to set it on course for a lunar orbit insertion. During this phase, the spacecraft has transmitted some extraordinary images back to Earth, capturing our beautiful planet and the Falcon 9's second stage in stunning detail. This is one of the best pictures of in-space hardware I've ever seen. The touchdown is still scheduled for February 22nd, so fingers crossed we'll keep you in the loop. The final mission within this 24-hour flurry of activity was Starlink 7-14, a now routine launch that added 22 V2 mini satellites to the constellation. Over time, these launches are starting to add up, with SpaceX having deployed more than 5,850 satellites to date. Back when it was announced that the Starlink constellation would grow to 12,000 satellites, many people were skeptical about it being possible. And yet, we're already halfway there. This launch especially stood out, as it marked the 300th flight of a Falcon 9 rocket, a monumental achievement by any measure. Additionally, by happy coincidence, this launch also marked the 200th consecutive successful landing of a Falcon 9 booster. The last streak ended on February 16, 2021, when after 24 successful recoveries, a booster couldn't reach the drone ship due to a damaged engine. Since that hiccup, SpaceX has evidently learned its lesson, as evidenced by the 200 successful landings in a row. The best part? If SpaceX continues on its current trajectory, we may celebrate the 300th booster landing by the end of this year. This is insane. And the news keeps on coming. Shifting focus to Japan, the H3 rocket has finally embarked on its second journey to space several months after an initial launch failure. Developed by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, the H3 is poised to replace the now retired H2B rocket. H3 has the capability to deliver payloads of up to 4,000 kilograms or 8,800 pounds to sun-synchronous orbit and as much as 7,900 kilograms or 17,400 pounds to geostationary transfer orbit, depending on its configuration. Figuring out this rocket's configuration is surprisingly straightforward. It's a simple combination of 2 digits and a letter. The first digit denotes the number of Hydrolox engines in the first stage, with options including 2 or 3. The second digit indicates the number of solid rocket boosters, with possibilities ranging from 0 to 4. Lastly, the name ends either with an S for a short 10.4 meter or 34-foot fairing, or an L for a long 16.4 meters or 54-foot fairing. The debut flight of the H3 rocket took place in March 2023. The team behind the rocket was so confident that it would work that instead of using a mass simulator, they chose a cutting-edge remote sensing satellite, ALOS 3, for its maiden voyage. I can't even imagine how they must have felt when the second stage failed to ignite merely 5 minutes after liftoff. It forced them to blow up a $200 million satellite with no backup. That might be difficult to explain to your boss. In light of this setback, the subsequent launch on February 15th was approached with more caution, serving as a true test flight. Rather than risk another high-value satellite, this mission's payload was a hefty metal block serving as a mass simulator. Thankfully, this time the launch proceeded without any issues, meaning that H3 can enter commercial services. The irony. There is a reason as to why test flights are so important. Risking your customer's payload is, well, risky. Japan learned that the hard way, but hopefully from now on the next launches will go as smoothly as possible. That's it for today. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe for more awesome content. This is what fuels the algorithm and helps us immensely. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store, link is in the description. And if you want to train your space IQ even further, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. February? Oh yes. Alright. Isn't that lovely? With 54-foot Fahrenheit. Wow. English.